There's no such thing as developing or growing too quickly, but there is such a thing as disproportionate stressing of certain systems or certain aspects of your life. So let's say you're working on a laptop for 12 hours a day and you're not moving, okay? So in one aspect, you are developing a lot, you could say, but your system as a whole is also being taxed. So there is an aspect of cancelling out that will happen unless your system is supported in equal proportion to the stressor that you're applying. So development is about balancing stresses, and our system is wonderfully suited to compensate and balance stresses in a variety of ways. So if we're able to support the body, and there's a whole depth to that, and if we're able to support ourselves through a healthy relationship with our psychology, then those two things can play really nicely together. But we have to see the human being as a container of energy, okay? And the goal with all growth and development is for that container of energy to be internally organized in such a way that it can tolerate and even thrive on higher levels of input. So like a circuit board, there's a certain amplitude of, or wattage or whatever, of electricity that you can put through a circuit board. And if the components are organized well, and if the components are robust, then it's not going to blow. In fact, that circuit board might be able to light up something incredible or power something. And I know that this is a very mechanical example, but electricity is also one of the systems that we run with. So your body is like that circuit board, and you can think of your circulatory system, your nervous system, your lymphatic system, all of these various systems as subsystems of the circuit board, and those need to become more robust in order for consciousness, which is kind of like the electricity, let's call it life force, let's even call it love, in order for that to pass through, saturate, and be expressed by your being. So your development needs to factor in your various components and your various systems, but there's nothing inherently stopping you from making a profound upgrade, evolving profoundly quickly, and still being healthy. It's purely a matter of how well you're able to balance those systems. And this is a process of not being too proactive, because trying to second guess what you're going to need all the time ahead of time and being too structured is actually fearful and reactive. And that creates more of the noise and more of the issues of the past system, because you're placing the past perception onto the future upgrade, which kind of limits you. What you actually need to do is incorporate some structure as a fallback, just in the same way that if you were practicing a handstand, you might practice against a wall. You'd start by leaning on that structure, leaning on the wall, then you'd move away from the wall, you do some little toe taps, you're finding a bit of balance. Then you don't need the wall at all, because you are your own structure and you're so confident within the constraints of that structure, which is a feeling, responding, knowing yourself kind of structure. It's a competency rather than an external scaffold. You become so good with your internal structures that you no longer need the external rigidity. However, as we move towards being more intuitive and more reflexive or responsive with our day-to-day rebalancing of which system we're using and how best to support ourselves, it's important that we aren't too complacent. And it's important that when we enter a new domain of life or a new challenge, such as a new relationship or such as a new level of career stress or such as a new intensity of training, that we see, okay, this is new for me. This is something that I haven't done for a while, if ever. Therefore, in order to create a smooth transition and to allow myself some margin for error and to be kind to myself, I'm going to create a few structures, a few check-ins. Maybe once a week, I'm checking in and seeing, okay, how was the balance of my week? How was my work feeling in my body? How was my body feeling from day to day? Was my energy up high in my shoulders and neck and head and chest? Or was I feeling quite low, grounded? Was I feeling balanced, or was I feeling lethargic generally? Was I quite open and intimate and well boundaried in my communication with my partner or with my clients? Or was I giving more than perhaps I could sustainably? Or was I withdrawing and being cold, perhaps because of a fear of giving too much and then having to withdraw? So a weekly check-in structure is an example of how you can use a little bit of a scaffold when making a transition. Just like training wheels, they're not forever, but they're just for a little while. Otherwise, you can just raw dog completely. You can enter new domains of life, you can enter new challenges, and you can not check in with yourself and not acknowledge that you're taking on a new responsibility. But if you don't acknowledge that new responsibility that you're taking on, if you don't acknowledge your own attempts to grow and your own steps that you've taken into challenges, then you're also unable to support yourself, which means that you're likely to have a little bit of a fear of falling. You're likely to grip on too much to your current way of thinking, organizing, moving, doing things, but you're gripping without a structure. So actually you're just freezing up. And actually you're just kind of getting a little bit in the way of the flow of life. And you're not really very balanced. You're just trying not to make a mistake in any direction. And that's something that I've done too. So we naturally learn through falling. We naturally learn through a margin of error. We naturally need periods of rupture in our relationships, or a certain amount of arguably slightly damaging stimulus to our tissues in our body to adapt. In our work, we need things occasionally to go wrong and become a clusterfuck before we sort of tidy the systems up. So you will learn reflexively, but bear in mind that there is a cost to raw dogging. You really can pay the price, and you really can strip yourself raw, and you can lose a lot of what you currently have. So you need to appreciate yourself now, the sincerity of the steps you're taking, the significance of the steps you're taking, and you need to appreciate those around you for the significance of the steps that they're taking, because if you can't appreciate yourself for the significance of the growth steps that you are taking, then you will not be able to support yourself in successfully navigating that process while still enjoying it, while still feeling fulfilled rather than just fucking terrified. You can do things scared, but doing things scared often inhibits the healthy functioning, the reflexive functioning of your system. As a system, when you're playful, when you're adaptive, when you're malleable, it's a lot easier to grow and to develop in an integral way, in a holistic way. And in order to do that, you need to have a few systems, a few structures, a few check-ins. This is how you gain more energy and sustain more energy and become essentially an energetic conductor who's vibrant and healthy and alive and capable. And B, it's how you work through your shadow material, which is just your unconscious material, the things that you have perceived as chaotic and therefore separated from mainstream day-to-day consciousness. It's how you process that, release it, and essentially let go of the toxins of those inherited subconscious structures from your mind. And when you can do both of those things, you become utterly magnetic. You become a powerful creator of whatever it is that you direct your attention towards. Your body will be healthy. Your body will form the platform, the grounded platform for the electricity of those lightning bolts of inspiration to come down and strike the world through you. And you will be struck by your inspiration, and it will be grounded in the world precisely because you are in the middle between the ether, the mind, the creation, the thoughts, and the grounding of reality. And it's this wonderful continuum, this wonderful cycle where you allow things to pass through you. That's how you cultivate yourself. That's how you grow. That's how, if you release your ideas and relax into the embodiment of that process and support your body, you will naturally become a container for higher quality relationships, higher quality purpose work, higher quality everything. Become a being of quality. So, I hope that's been clear. I hope that's been helpful. If you'd like to go on a year-long process with me and be guided through a system to do this, I have a structure for you. I have at the moment, it's looking like a 36-week teaching period, which is broken up by 4-week rest periods, because no one rests these days. It's like, what the fuck? Like, when do we rest and integrate and just let things go and like see what happens? We need to factor that in, right? So it's a total of, what would that be? Kind of like 9 months teaching and practice and programming and support and community and guest speakers and all of that over a period of a year. It's kind of spaced out. We're covering 3 things, and I'll put a link in the description so that you can read more about this. I won't bore you with it now, but we're covering going into the body, fixing the body up, upgrading the body, very grounded work. Then we're going to continue to do that work and keep developing it, but we're going to add in working with the emotions and what comes through the body, and how you perceive your emotions, how you hold space for them, how you release them, how you transform them into just clear creative energy rather than suppressing them and hurting other people. And we're going to look at the mind. We're going to go deeply into the structures of the mind, how the mind works, how to go beyond your mind, how to create things through your mind, and deep meditative stuff, really beautiful, creative soul stuff. So yeah, that'll be the year. If you're interested, then link in description for more info. I have a full plan that I outlined for you there. And also there's a link to jump on the coaching waitlist for 2025. It's all waitlisted. So if you do want to work with me at all, this is the way to do it. Once you're on the waitlist, I'll send you a series of useful insights and practices, and then I'll be able to notify you once coaching intake opens so you have an opportunity to apply. Thank you. I'll speak to you guys soon. Much love. Stay in the body. Feel into the body. Take care of your body. Take care of your body. Care. And then just watch how the rest of your life transforms.